Hello and welcome again to an NDF interview 2013. With to my left here I have Ed Freitas, who did a clinics on the Saturday. Ultimate hybrid of electronics and normal kit. So Ed, it's been a privilege this weekend. Thank you very much for coming and performing for us. Is this your first time at the NDF?
No, I've been to the NDF before, supporting just what's going on here, because it's just such a good show. I think it's very close to everything that I stand for as a drummer. Big supporter of the show, definitely.
So what's the best thing about the NDF?
The NDF, I think for me, it's about the true spirit of original drumming, if you want to call it, or kit drumming. That is, the vintage element, the custom element. That said, also the family environment that is automatic in this show. You just feel like you're with family, old faces, everyone is relaxed. It's just everyone knows everyone else, and very relaxed show, which you don't always see at other shows. It's just a very comfortable place to be in for a drummer.
Great. Do you have any vintage or custom gear?
I have had a lot of custom gear. I've got a lot of custom snares and so on, and I've had a lot of custom kits. Way too many. Probably I don't have as many because the wedding. I wouldn't say got in the way, but obviously in respect to my better half, I had to get rid of some of the gear, of course, but with a very heavy heart. But I do have a lot of custom snares and little bits and bobs, definitely. Yeah.
Great. What's the best thing you've seen here over the weekend?
Over the weekend, I've seen a lot that's really, really good. I think this weekend, specifically this year, has been, the show has just looked a lot bigger. Everything seems to be a bit higher in terms of the displays, and people, I think, have mustered in a lot more. And the effect of when you walk into the show this year was, it felt big. It just felt like a nice, big, meaty place. And the thing is, everything is there. If you see all the guys putting, the concession stand, you've got so much available there, all the way to the other end of the spectrum, with little bits and bobs that you wouldn't get anywhere else, and you're finding it here. And that for me is a big thing.
Brilliant. So what does the NDF bring to its audience, do you think?
I think, it brings, the pure side of things, the pure side of drumming. A lot of the punters, you can see they really live this thing. They live and love it, It's they love the art of drumming, and I think you see that in people, and speaking to people, of all ages, because you see children in there, and you see folks of an elderly age who are as much into it as the other. So for me, the NDF brings everyone together in a very dynamic way for them to talk purely drumming. It's almost geeky. I mean, from my point of view, of course, being a drummer. But I think it's a bit of magic there, definitely.
Is there any suggestions you'd like to see at the fair?
Well, this year, one of the suggestions I had, of course, because I'm involved, of course, in some way, would have been, perhaps on the stage to try, something different. And you've obviously done it this year, bringing a whole different side of things with the electronic bits for showcase. Of course, you don't want to sort of taint the event in any way with anything out there, but I think that was great. Many people were coming up and just saying, "Oh, it was so nice to see something completely unexpected at the show this year," So I love what is happening there at the show at the moment. I can't really think of offhand of anything significant that would have to change, because I think it's doing really well.
That's good on our part, really, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's delivered so well, I believe.
So, if you had to relive one gig or event that you've done, what would it be?
Well, it depends on whether it was, if it was good in sort of, well, there's so many goods, of course. There's funny good, and then, of course, there's like hitting it correctly good. But there's been so many highlights. It's hard to say. I mean, this year I've been like in 21 countries alone, just this year, and there's been so many highlights, and I think for me, it's when I do a show and I get fans coming up to me saying that you won't know this, but my son got into drumming because of you 5 years ago, and they drum today very well because of that influence you had in them. And I had that recently in August this year, where not just one person, but a few people came up saying that had been an inspiration for them. So for me, that's very humbling. It's very highly encouraging for me, of course, but it's incredibly humbling experience. And you meet the people that you've actually influenced to take that career path, even, you know, and they're doing well, you know, a lot of these people. So that is highlights for me. Yeah, it's a crazy thing. It's just incredible.
So talk about people obviously being inspired by you. Who were your inspirations?
Oh, there's so many. Yeah, I grew up, you know, Buddy Rich was a massive influence in my life. I'm a big snare drum, so, you know, Gene Krupa and, you know, even stuff that Louis Bellson was doing, and of course Jim Chape and Joe Morello. And then later in life, Vinnie Colaiuta, Vinnie's massive inspiration, and the drummers that followed. So I always find new inspirations. There's drummers out there right now they just definitely, you know, get my attention all the time. And so I would say those are the guys that have led me into it. I would say overall, Vinnie has been a big inspiration. I would say, you know, if I had to say one person that's got all, you know, all this stuff nicely placed. You know.
Great. Have you got any advice for people who are starting out or who want to improve their playing?
Yeah, I mean, the resources these days are immense. When I was growing up, which wasn't very long ago, all right, you know, there weren't the resources that we have these days. These days we've got the web, and in all fairness, if you want to do well in this business, the resources are there. To get into drumming, there are a lot of good teachers all over the place now. There are a lot of good institutions, good colleges, and it can start at home. As I've just mentioned, you know, on the web, you've just got to go onto YouTube and type in paradiddle, for example, and you will find, you know, 15,000 variations of and different approaches to it. So it gives you a lot of flexibility to come up with stuff. So yeah, it's all there, and I believe it doesn't matter what age you are. I did a masterclass a while back, about a year ago, where an 87-year-old lady was there, and she came to me and said, "Look, Sonny," I'm not going to try and emulate that, but she just says, "I've always wanted to play one of these things." She didn't even call it a drum. She said, "I just want to get on this." And I got down and showed her a little 4/4 groove, you know, the basic beat, basically. Got her down, playing 4. She started playing, and as she was playing, this is no kidding, she started crying. She was not crying. And she says, she got so emotional. She says, you know, for years and years I've watched, you know, all the greats playing, you know, and she says, this has really, really just impacted me so much, the fact that I can be, and you know, she picked it up. And here's the thing, she went off, she bought an electric kit. They arranged her one, and I went and gave her some lessons at 87 years of age. And she was so good because she was a musician. You know, she played piano over her life. She had played violin, and she was incredible drummer. 87 years of age. You know, and she continued to play drums. And that for me speaks mountains. It says you're never too young or never too old to pick up this instrument. It's a primal thing, and I think we all want to do it. Yeah.
Is there any clean, funny stories you want to tell us?
Oh, there's many. Well, let's go to the clean stories. I've had some incredible stuff happening with me on stage, like with my rig, with the big rig that I use on stage, the hybrid rig. Of course, when you've got electronics, you know, things can go wrong. So I've had situations where I've been playing and triggers are falling off as I play, of course, and you see them falling by all over the place. And in your mind, you know, you're in a festival with 10, 15,000 people, and you know that you can't do that song and that song and that song anymore. So as a drummer, what do? Back to drum solo, default. So it becomes one very long drum solo at a festival. And people, you know, commenting afterwards when I'm doing the signings, they're all saying, you know, great singer, but, you know, you're drum, you know, we know you're a good drummer, but you don't have to prove it for so long. Yeah, that is one. And we've just had so many. I've had smoke machines pointed at my face unknowingly when I'm playing, and all of a sudden this thing is peeking out from under the thing, and it's actually pointing at my face, and I completely drowned in smoke. I had to stop the gig and then see these faces crawl through the smoke. Are you okay, mate? Get completely spooked. And so many things like that. I could write a book on crazy stories. It's just lovely, you know. Yeah.
Brilliant. If you had a time machine, which era of music drumming would you actually go back to?
Wow, that is so hard to say, because there was a lot of great happenings in the late 20s, 30s, you know, when they were experimenting with so many things, you know, with trying, you know, double bass drums, you know, putting two basses together, trying this and that. Early days, you know, getting the big 26 inches out and, you know, trying different variations of toms and how they're going to, you know, I think that would have been a very exciting time for an experimenting drummer, I believe, you know, especially because I experiment a lot.
Yeah.
That I think would have been something quite significant, because you were pretty much changing historically, you know, the face of drumming over that period, and of course, you know, through the 30s, 40s, and then of course into the big band area, you know, it's just phenomenal. Yeah, I think that would have been an exciting time.
One final question. You're at a dinner party, it's yours.
Yeah.
You can have 4 guests, dead or alive.
Right.
Don't have to be drummers, they're just guests. Who would they be?
Oh man, that is a very, very good question, and I've never ever thought of that one. But to be perfectly honest, I've had people in my life, you know, as you go through life, you get these beacons that like sort of change your whole perception and your way of thinking, you know. And I've had a number of people like that in my life, and to get them all together into one, believe it or not, would be my granddad, who's still alive, incidentally. He's just the most incredible person, you know. He's kind of formed us through a family. He's got a very sort of jovial spirit. He's incredible. He's a great influence on everyone around him. Very joyous all the time. Massive, faithful, incredible guy. So he would definitely be one. Of course, I'd have to have a drummer there. So I think Buddy Rich would be an interesting character, you know, to say the least, to have there. Possibly the other extreme, perhaps somebody like Bonham, you know, like Bonham, because, you know, of the whole different, you know, scenario. And then there was just an old gentleman and friend that had a big influence on me in South Africa, actually. I worked for him for a while, a gentleman called Johan Ferreira. He was just, he was a very strict guy, and everything was either a yes or a no, and there was no in between, and he just said yes, and if he said yes, it was yes, and if he said no, it was no. He was a man of his word, and he stuck by his promises, and he had a big influence for me, and he would definitely, I think that would be an interesting dinner party to say the least. There we go.
Well, there we are. Well, on that note, Ed, it's been a privilege to have you here.
Thank you so
much. Thank you very much
much
for being a part of the NDF. And once again, we hope to see you very soon.
Thank you very
And we hope
much.
to see you very soon on the next NDF interview. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.